Okay, how's it going, guys? Oh man. So, I came out here in the wilderness, have a really pretty day, and I'm losing daylight fast, so I want to get onto it, but I'm holding my mic, so if it makes weird noises, don't worry about it. But I think I'm going to be doing this more. I like being out here. My original idea for this actually was to have a program called Wealth and Wilderness where I talked about learning about finances and doing wilderness stuff, and how I also went to a wilderness program. So if you think that's cool, or if you think it might be something that you'd be interested in, let me know. I'm catching my breath just because I've been running to have daylight because I did a photo shoot just barely for really awesome brand Patriot, and it's just a personal thing. But yeah, so what did I want to talk about today? Well, there's a couple things. So this weekend has been really crazy in a really good way is what I would put. So a lot has come to light, and it's made me think about a lot about my video where I talked about hookup culture and the problems that come with it, and where I cry like a little bitch essentially. So the reason that I wanted to bring that up, or the reason I want to talk about this, is because I was in a very dark place when that video was made, and I still want to keep it up, at least for now, because it's very raw and it's a very authentic video, and I want people to know that there are consequences to those actions. Well, and this is going to tie in, this is kind of the part 2 of that, where there's been kind of a rebirth with everything going on. But the idea of it was just where, I believed that having sex out of marriage is not a great thing, and that you can get women pregnant, which is what I did with my co-parent. And it was a really hard time, I'm not going to lie. It was very difficult, and there was a lot to come with it, but I'm losing daylight, so I kind of want to get faster onto the part where what I wanted to talk about today is, over the past week or so, I've really come from a place of gratitude. And there's a lot of times where it's easy to say this, and we see a lot of hyped content about it on Instagram and stuff like that, but I really do believe the fundamental problem that we have in a society is not wanting to face our problems. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that problems are actually the best thing that can happen to us. And again, you hear this on Instagram, you hear this on these hype reels and everything like that, but it's such a real thing that we don't want to really talk about. It's such a real thing that it's what makes life worth living at the end of the day. This sounds like really hippie shit, but the reason is that my perspective on life has completely changed. I have a very big place of gratitude and childlike curiosity for the world. So what I mean by that is where I'm just so grateful. I'm just very grateful I'm grateful for the problem. I'm grateful for my daughter that's going to be, and that my life has really been hard. It's been the hardest that it's ever been, and it's been the hardest that I think it will be for quite a bit of time. And maybe not, but it will be the starter to what will get me really wanting to go on my next adventure, and with starting my own business and those types of things, which is what I've really wanted to do. So I apologize, I'm trying to bring this up fast again because of daylight, but it was so hard. This has been such a difficult time. There was a lot of miscommunication, there was a lot of silence, and there was a lot of growth that needed to happen on my part, and for now my co-parents' part, on everything that's going on. And luckily we had a really great talk over the weekend, and things are looking to be on the bright side, which I'm very grateful for. And through all the talk, and again through everything, even though this has been such a difficult time, I'm so grateful, because I really wouldn't have pushed with even restarting the channel. I wouldn't have pushed with making these certain leaps of faith that I have, or just building belief in myself, because I was being so selfish and so depressed, where all I could really think about was myself, and how I was really frustrated, and how I was really mad at the situation. And that wasn't fair to anyone. That wasn't fair to myself. Yes, I needed to learn how to grieve and go through the process of it, and I do believe there is a step for that. But at the same time, you can't stay in misery all day. You have to be able to get out of that place sometime. And some of us do it faster than others. And I'm grateful for the period that I had, and I'm grateful for how quickly, compared to some other people, whether that's going through a divorce or having another situation like I am, very difficult. And they stay in that place for a very long time, and they hold a lot of resentment, right? So the point I'm bringing up with this, though, is that this has made me such a powerful individual, and that it's really created the sense of urgency that people need in our lives for us to actually make life worth living and actually to make shit happen. Because we don't do a lot of that. We don't have the urgency that we need to actually want to improve ourselves to a greater level than even what listening to motivational content would do, or just going to a seminar or something like that. You really have to have real shit, real hard fucking problems hit you in the face so that you can really grow. And that's what this opportunity gave me, and it's what it's still giving me, but it's allowed me to really recognize the potential in myself, and that I have to be the one to believe in myself if I'm going to make this happen. Not because I was wanting to do it for myself or whatever. I'm grateful and I am doing it for myself, but it's ultimately because of my daughter that I'm being pushed like I am. I'm being pushed to make leaps. I'm being pushed to take chances. I'm doing stuff that I never would have done before because I was so fearful, because I was so self-centered. And I think a lot of us are in that place. And so being able to find a way to create urgency and find a way to really have life hit you hard. Like, let the problems that you have motivate you to become better instead of staying stagnant. And again, this is way easier said than done, but I think so many of us do, even though we preach this content, even though we talk about this, a lot of us still do stay in that same place. And it's not right. It's not right, because these problems we are supposed to... I was having a conversation with a new individual that I met, shout out to Mike, and he was talking to me about how he believes that we go through problems so we can help the next generation, which you already kind of get that, but he was laying out in a way that I haven't heard about it before, where it isn't just that it's like, oh yeah, because we've gone through hard times that we're supposed to, or that, we should just help people out because that's what it's the good thing to do. But no, it's our duty and it's our obligation as a species, as humans, as individuals, as great beings. We have come to where we're at because people had problems in their life, and instead of not doing anything about it or doing something about it and not sharing it, they talk about it. They say, hey, if this is happening in your life, you do X, Y, and Z. Hey, I'm sorry to hear that. Here's how you fix this. You just do those types of things. You help other people solve problems. It's part of why life is so amazing, because life is all about problems, and without problems, we really wouldn't have life. Life would be too easy, and when life is too easy, we create our own problems, consciously or subconsciously. A lot of mental health is where, and I can say this, so people in the chats who are like, oh, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have OCD, I don't give a shit. I don't give two fucks about that, because I understand it, because I have been through it. So I can have empathy for you. But if you're staying in a place where you aren't willing to let yourself grow because you are dealing with an issue, that's a you problem, and you need to take care of that. My point with it is that we create, I believe this, that subconsciously our brain wants to create problems because we need to solve them. So that's part of why we have anxiety. That's part of why we have depression. That's part of why we have OCD, bipolar, NPD, BPD. We have all these types of things. And yes, there are chemical imbalances, but at the same time, there have been so many lessons and so many miracles that we can see how great our potential is as human beings, as long as we're able to step up and meet the challenge and face it head on. One thing that a lot of people don't understand is where some people, they want to get a diagnosis so they can have an issue to be petty about, to be a victim about, where I really believe that when I was trying to figure out what issues and what things I was going on with my life, like when I found out I had OCD, it wasn't where I wanted to use that as a victim standpoint. And I'm not perfect, so of course I have in the past, but really it's kind of like what Jordan Peterson talks about, where you want to chase the dragon instead of it chasing you. And what I mean by that with all of this stuff is how you have a beast, okay? So like, say you're in your mind and you're willing to look into the deep dark cave that are your thoughts, that are your problems, that are X, Y, and Z. You're finally willing to take a look to see what the beast is. And I believe that it's great to be able to get a description and to name that beast. So like when you're having mental health issues or when you're having problems, figure out what it is so you can be able to name it, so you know how to attack it. Not so you can be a victim to it, but so you know how to take the action and have the responsibility to do something about it. Because a lot of us don't really want to do that right now. A lot of us want to be in self-pity. A lot of us want to wallow in our problems and our sins and our shortcomings when really we should be so grateful for them. We should be so excited that this is the problem that we're dealing with. You know, there's a quote that goes around where if everyone put their trash in a pile and you saw everyone else's trash, you would pick yours up. Because all of us are going through hard times. All of us are going through hard shit, and all of us are, for the most part, trying to do what we can for it. But I want you just to think on how grateful you should be for those problems, because, again, I keep rambling on, but we solve problems to get better problems. That's part of what life is going through. You solve a financial situation so then you can solve the next financial situation. You buy a car so you can be able to drive around. Well, now with that car, that comes with new problems. It might break down. You might have to fill gas. They're all little problems, but problems shouldn't be taken as a negative. It really is just a neutral thing. Again, it's how our mindset really incorporates, and it's how we try to filter things out, and it's where, because it's hard, or because we really don't want to do it, or because we really don't want to face it, because we don't want to name that beast, we put it as a negative, when really that's a positive, because that beast is showing us what our potential is. That dragon, that manticore, that frickin', I don't know, the kraken, okay, whatever it is, right? You see that, and if you fight it, that's what the hero does. If you want to be a hero, you don't run away from it. You can be a side character. You can be a peasant. You can be a townsfolk. You can do that. But so many of us play video games. So many of us would rather play those things, would rather play and face those issues. Which again, what is video games? Video games are just created problems for you to have a solution so you feel better about yourself for solving a problem. That's what everything is. That's what mystery books are. That's what D&D is. That's what puzzles are. That's what frickin' board games are. All these types of things. Own up to your own problems. Own up to them. Face them. Be willing to tackle them, and you will be grateful. It's not going to happen at first, probably. But once you realize, damn, I went through all that shit, and look at how I'm able to do things now. I wasn't able to talk about this. I wasn't able to talk like this. I haven't been able to express myself. I wasn't allowing myself to be on camera. I was scared shitless of that because I'm so self-aware of my voice. I'm so X, Y, and Z. I am so blank. I'm so selfish at the end of the day. That's what it's about. And you just got to pull your head out of your ass. You got to pull your head from being inward and having it tucked down like this, and you need to put it up and look at everything else going on. You need to be grateful, and you need to be willing to take that risk. This wasn't exactly what I was planning on talking about. It is a little bit, but this is what I'm very passionate about, and what I've really come to realize this weekend is that even though, again, this has been the hardest time of my life, I am so grateful for it. Because it's been the hardest time in my life, this is where I've had the most growth, and I'm keeping momentum with this. I've talked about this a little bit, where you want to keep momentum, and you know, I even opening up to it right now, I'm taking responsibility for it. I mean, you can see how I posted, and I wasn't posting regularly. I wasn't doing that type of stuff. I wasn't keeping the momentum that I was talking about, and I need to hold myself accountable to that, and I'm okay with that. But I'm willing to do that now, and this new fire that has been lit under my ass, and the urgency of it, and the realization and knowing that I actually can do something about this situation with the pregnancy, has really allowed me to see what am I capable of, and the energy. We all have so much energy inside of us that we don't utilize because we don't know it's there, because we didn't take a risk. I took a risk on July 4th, driving my car up that has been having a lot of issues lately, up to Idaho to help out a person that I've been following on Instagram for a year because I believed in what he said, because I believed in this brand, because I believe that we as Americans need to speak up and stand up more. And that it doesn't matter about political party, race, gender, sexual orientation. Put all that shit aside. This is about our country and about us. If you want to do that, if you want to be able to vote this way, if you want to be able to do that, we need to fight for it now. And I believed in that message so much that I stayed up and I was able to work over 26 hours. Okay, I woke up at 2 in the morning. I got back home at around 4 o'clock the next morning. And I didn't realize how much energy I had in it, but because I took that risk, that day, not only was it the day of independence for our country and for everyone, I don't care about skin color with this is for everyone. I've been able to have an energy that I didn't realize that I had before. And with this weekend as well, I'm just realizing more and more energy I have because of the urgency of the situation, because our country is going to shit, because we might not have this freedom for so long or for that much long. We got to do something about it. And be willing to take the risk. Be willing to step outside of your comfort zone. I'm going to be posting something later where it's about The Hobbit, and basically the very first, if you're watching the movies, it's the first movie. And I know the book is, we can get off on that later, but the quote that Gandalf says where the world is not in your books and your maps. It's out there. And Gandalf and Bilbo have a conversation, and then he promises, will I come back? And Gandalf looks at him dead in the eye and he says, no. But if you do, you'll not be the same. And how exciting is that? That isn't a bad thing. That's amazing because that pushes Frodo to finally step out his front door, which all of us do. We just look at everyone else living their lives. We live in our little suburbs. We live in our city. We live in our Hobbiton. We live in the places that we're comfortable. Some of us can't even do that. We have to hide in our hobbit hole, and we watch everyone else do their day-to-day lives. We watch everyone else live their lives through our windows, through our social media, through our screens. But at some point, if you really want to live a meaningful life, you have to run. You have to go out there. You have to do something. You have to take your foot out of the door. And if you're going to take 1 foot, you might as well haul ass and keep on running. Because that's when you're going to be able to see the real world. That's when you're going to be able to see your potential. That's when you're going to get things started. And I mean, it's interesting because even without Bilbo, now thinking about it, the ring would have been hiding in for however much longer. The ring wouldn't have been awake. It would have stayed dormant. And if it would have stayed dormant for even an extra 5 years or so, and if Bilbo never found it, Frodo never would have found it. It would have never gotten to the one person who could have destroyed the one ring, who could have solved the one problem. So maybe even with your life, you're not able to get a whole lot of shit done, but maybe it inspires someone else. Maybe it makes a movement and it creates a chain and it creates a wave where people that wouldn't have done something before or that wouldn't have known their potential actually do something about it and really push it forward. If it wasn't for Bilbo, Frodo would have never had the ring and he would have never been able to take it to Mount Doom and to destroy it like he did, and that's a problem. He solved a problem. He solved the biggest problem in Middle-earth at the time. But Frodo was the one that who had to step out the door. So maybe for us, maybe for the people who are currently living in our country, we aren't going to see the big changes happen, but we're going to bring awareness to the problem so that the next generations, the people under us, don't have to do it. Someone has to wake up to it. Someone has to become aware and to be able to take action to be ahead, right? That's what this channel is about, is aware and ahead. There's 3 steps to it. I put the 2 in the title, but there's the middle one. The second one is the most important, I believe, and it's action. Be aware so that you may take action, so that you may move ahead in life. And really do that, because again, going back to this whole thing about our generations and how we may not be the ones to be able to see it at its full, we may not be the ones to be able to see it at its full potential, but we have to do something about it so it eventually can. And we can't be selfish and be part of this silent majority where we just act like everything's okay when none of us are really happy with our lives and none of us are happy with any state of the world. Not even just our country, the state of the world. And we need to rise up and do something about it. And there are people that are talking, but we need to have more voices than that. And not only should you listen to those voices, you should support them and you should do something about it. And you should engage with them in person. Going back to Patriot and July 4th, I had heard Ian talk for over a year, and I wanted to have the courage to speak up. I was such a coward, and I believed in the message, but because I didn't take that risk to go out the door to even have the conversation with him, if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't be here making this video. I wouldn't be here speaking proudly and taking this action. I don't know how else to say that, or I lost track, but again, like, it's not only about seeing the people and then supporting them and liking their videos. That's not enough. We got to do so much more than this. And this, going back to problems, our country, our world is in a big fucking problem right now. We're in the biggest problem right now that we've ever had in our lives, and a lot of us aren't doing shit about it. And this video isn't even making a dent. This video, I do believe that it could make a dent, but this video isn't enough. Me wearing this t-shirt isn't enough. Me trying to talk to the few people that will listen to this, and I hope the message resonates and gets shared to other people. If you do, please share it. Not because I care about making money off of this content, not because I care about hoping to get to 100 subscribers. Yeah, there's a part of me that cares about that, but not for this video. That's not the point of it right now. That's not what I'm thinking about right now. What I'm thinking about is how we need to create the awareness. We need to do things. And not only do we need to be aware, we need to take action so we can move ahead. And so engage with people. Talk to people. Talk to them in person. Have discussions. Allow yourself to be wrong. Allow yourself to engage in conversations that are uncomfortable and let people discuss their side, and maybe hold your tongue back for a second to look at their situation and to look at their view of things and actually listen to them and then talk to them and actually have a discussion and actually talk to them instead of just yelling names where if they disagree with you, then they're a blank name, they're this name, they're that name, you know? Do something about that. Do more. Be more courageous. Take more action in your life. Because it gets so much better. I was so fucking depressed. I was so sad. And I would have killed myself. I would have killed myself. Because I was thinking so much inward, and that's such a big problem. And I don't say that to have pity. I don't say that for anything. Anything like that, at least. I say that to bring the awareness of how I think not solitude, but being stagnant, or there's another S word for it that I can't think of right now. If you can maybe think of it, leave it down in the comments. I'd love to be able to hear it and like it if you do have the word I'm looking for. But when you just stay stuck, when you don't do anything, of course you're going to get depressed because you're not doing anything, and that's the problem. That's the issue. And so your body's going to cope with it, and your mind is going to do something about it, and it's going to create a worse problem. But when you take action, you realize your problems are amazing, and that your problems are only going to get better. And that's what I really believe right now, and I hope you can resonate with this message. I hope you can be able to realize this isn't about left or right. This isn't about gay, straight. This isn't pro-choice, pro-life. This isn't anything like that. This is literally good versus evil. And we need to be able to put our differences aside as a country so that we can get to those problems, so that we can actually solve those problems. We need to become united. We need to actually do something about this. We need to be a community that will take the action so we can move forward in the right direction. And again, if you do recognize with this, first of all, I appreciate you listening to this. This is a lot longer than I thought I would be talking about this, and I thought my daylight would be out, but maybe God's just trying to hold on a little bit longer for me. And if that's the case, thank you so much, because I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I had the time to be able to do this today. I'm so grateful that I had the time to be able to take a minute to rant and talk fast and just blurt a lot of things out, but a lot of them needed to be said, and I really hope that you do something about it. So, thank you for listening. Please share the video if you found it meaningful. If you don't like it, that's fine, but if you think someone else might like it, share it with them, because maybe they'll do something about it when you aren't. And if you aren't, I highly advise you to do something about it. The place that you can start with that is personal excellence. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. Doing things to make yourself better is not selfish. By making yourself being better and by showing the potential that you have in yourself is able to inspire others. I've seen that firsthand, and I've seen that this weekend. I've seen with the conversations that I've had with people, a light flick on in their eyes, and they're able to really look, and they're processing, and they're engaging. And I think those people are going to do something about it. Because I finally talked to them. Because someone talked to them. Because someone believed and challenged them that they could be greater than what they are right now. Because if you want to talk about being selfish, it's not growing. Being selfish is not doing anything to improve yourself. Because if you aren't improving yourself, you aren't improving anyone's lives around you. And that means you're a problem. So the first problem to fix is yourself and your belief, or the lack of belief, the lack of self-belief. And start with there. And that's what I hope that this channel can be able to bring to you. I'm going to be talking and sharing a lot about my journey and what has been helpful for me. This is a shameless plug that I'm not affiliated with whatsoever, but if you just want a really great book, so maybe it's not a plug, but whatever. If you want to have a really great book, I'm not going to leave this in the comments. I'm not going to leave this as a link. I'm not making any money from this. I just really do believe it is such a powerful book. First, read 75 Hard by Andy Frisella, because he is an average, everyday, ordinary person that had a problem where he literally got stabbed in the face and almost died. And he made that to be one of the most recognizable people on this planet right now in terms of entrepreneurs. Read that. And then also read the book I was originally going to mention, which is The Power of One More by Ed Milet. That book really changes how you think about things, and each chapter really is worth every sentence. I've read halfway through the book, and I have half the paragraphs highlighted because they're that important. And I know I'm going to go back and reread them, and I reread chapters. I haven't finished it because I reread chapters and I reread what I highlighted. So if you want to have a really great book that can be able to get you started on starting your self-improvement journey, on starting to solve the problem within yourself, start with those two books. They're really great, and I really hope that you guys have been able to find this video important. If you had, leave a like and let me know all of your thoughts on this, and I can't wait to talk to you guys in the next one. I hope you all have a good day. Remember, friends, truly remember this. Don't be an airhead, as in don't do nothing. Just don't stay stagnant. Don't be an airhead. Be aware and ahead. Thanks so much, guys. Have a good night. Bye.